Hi there, my name is Amanda, and from one fellow student to another, I must ask, how are you doing after midterms last week? You feeling a little run down, like homework has become less beneficial and more like inhumane drudgery? Well, I may just have something that might help you out. So, recent studies have found that keeping one object within your sight, food, and your productivity, plants. Seems a little crazy, but it's true. You see, there was a study done by Shibata and Suzuki, and they were interested to see if there was any influence that plants had over the mood and productivity of inside the work area. And so what they did is they had a couple of groups, and they worked in a couple of different rooms, and they were given different tasks. And what they found is that those that worked within rooms with plants reported significantly higher moods and levels of success, as well as able to accomplish those tasks at a significantly quicker rate. So how does this affect you? Well, the tasks that were found that were most beneficial were associative tasks. And those are exactly what we do with school as students. We learn how to associate different concepts that we are learning through our class. And so as we work on those tasks, we can work with them at a faster rate and feel more successful just by keeping plants in the room. It may sound a little crazy. After all, this isn't a real common cure for feelings of sadness or things like that. But what I can say is what you should do is try it out. You see, with plants, they need a couple of things to care for them, and that's one reason why people don't often keep plants inside their home or in their office, because they think that they're just a little bit too much trouble, which can be true, because something that is more depressing than not having a plant is having a plant that is dead or dying. So with just a few extra tips, I can turn you into an expert of how to keep your indoor plants alive and healthy. The first thing that you need to realize is that with plants, they need TLC just like any other living organism. But for plants, TLC really stands for water, fertilizer, and a little bit of maintenance. So with those three things in mind, let's go ahead and get started with water, because the number one reason why plants will die is because they get overwatered. One thing that isn't really known very much about roots is that they actually respire. They need air to breathe. And so when you put too much water inside your soil to help your plant, you're actually drowning it. An easy way to avoid overwatering is by using ice cubes. And that's right, ice cubes. As you place the ice cubes around at the center of the pot, then you're able to slowly have those ice cubes melt, which releases that water at a rate that the roots are able to absorb it better without drowning. And so the next thing that you need to do is make sure that you're using the right amount of ice cubes. This can be tested with what I like to call the 2-finger 2-inch test. What you do is you take 2 fingers and you dip them 2 inches deep into the soil. By doing so, you can then feel if the soil is moist. If the soil is moist, then you have added the right amount of water. If the soil is wet, next time add a few less ice cubes. And if it's dry, make sure you add a couple more. And that's all that you need to know really about watering, because uniformly moist is the goal. Now with fertilizer, the one thing that you'll want to make sure that you remember is that it doesn't really matter so much as far as brand name goes, but what's important with fertilizer is that you read the instructions on the back, because it might say Miracle-Gro on the package, but if you use it wrong, then it'll be dead pronto. Trust me. So read the instructions to make sure that you're giving the plants the amount of food that it needs, because that's what fertilizer really is. It is food for the plant. The next thing to remember with your plant is just to keep it maintained. This can be done by once every 3 months dusting your plant. As you bring a plant indoors, it is removed from wind and rain, which normally removes that dust. But as it is indoors, what the dust does is it creates a blockage for between the light and the chlorophyll inside the leaves. The chlorophyll is what makes it green, and allows the plant to turn energy into sugar. So what you can do to avoid that blockage is take a wet cloth and wipe the top and the underside of the plant in order to remove that dust and to keep your plant healthy and happy. And when you have a healthy and happy plant through watering properly, giving the right amount of fertilizer, and through maintenance, then you will be able to increase your mood and productivity even after midterms.